certification. Thank you. I am the Director of Certification for the Bluegrass chapter of the IIBA. And again, I'd like to thank everybody for taking time out of your schedules to join us. So before I introduce our guest speaker, I did want to let you all know that we will be sharing some networking links in the chat today, as well as a study group registration link and a special discount code for those of you who are thinking about registering for that study group. So please be sure and keep an eye out for those items. The product ownership analysis virtual study group is going to be taking place on Thursday evenings. That's going to begin January the 25th and run through February the 22nd. So the special pricing for the certification chat attendees today does end on January 12th. So that's next Friday, a week from today. So if you are planning on joining us for that study group, please be sure to capture that discount code from the chat and register before that time so that you can take advantage of those special rates. So I think that's it for our housekeeping items. Everybody will receive, all of our participants today will receive an email tomorrow with a link to the recording. So if you've got to cut out early or just want to kind of rewatch it on your own time, you'll be able to do that. So I believe that's it for housekeeping. So please let me introduce our guest speaker, David Thomson. So David is the president of the East Tennessee IIBA chapter and a highly decorated senior business analyst at Pilot Travel Centers in Knoxville. He has over 30 years of experience in corporate information systems, has worked in a variety of different roles in the systems and business analysis domains. He also holds multiple certifications, including from the IIBA, the CBAP, which is the certification for business analysis professionals, the AAC, and the CPOA. In addition, he's got two certifications from the Scrum Alliance, the Certified Scrum Master and Certified Scrum Product Owner. So as you can see, he is definitely a champion and advocate for the profession. He's a leader in the community, and we are very, very honored to have him today. So David, I believe with that, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Ann, very much. I appreciate that. And I'm glad to talk to you guys today. I would say this, I don't really have a presentation per se. There's no real materials for this particular chat. But yeah, I see Aaron just responded that there's a, with the study group, there will be some study materials. I'm talking today, Aaron asked me to participate in this chat today to kind of talk about the CPOA class. I went through this in the late summer, early fall last year through the Bluegrass chapter. This is something that that I had been thinking about since I heard about the CPOA certification, something I really wanted to get into and learn more about, because I think, like a lot of us, we find ourselves in the business analysis community, especially as more and more companies are focusing on agile initiatives, or agile-like initiatives, that we are working either in sometimes we're working as product owners ourselves. Sometimes we're like the product owners, but definitely as business analysts, we are working with product owners. And this whole approach, for product ownership analysis really helps to kind of codify and give you some really great tools and capabilities to help really work together for better business value. And so when I heard about this previously, I jumped on it. That's something that my chapter, we're a very small chapter in comparison to the Bluegrass chapter, obviously, here in East Tennessee. And we cover, our chapter covers, primarily from, east of Nashville, including Knoxville and Chattanooga. We have some folks that participate from West Virginia. We have some folks from North Carolina that participate in our chapter, as well as Northern Georgia. We have folks from various different places that participate in our chapter, and we have. So, but we weren't offering the CPOA, and that was something I personally was in wanting to be involved in and learn more about. I will say that the IIBA does have the guide to product ownership analysis, which is a really great guide. If you go on the IIBA website, you can get, I think I would consider more of like a summary PDF of that, but the real the real guide to CPOA that they have is something that you get with your IIBA membership as a PDF. And when I started to look at that, I realized that this is going to take some intense study from me, or I'm going to have to find a class. And there weren't really any classes out there for it. So, um, the AAC, which I did previously. I know, Helen, you have a question about does the AAC relate to the CPOA? I would say absolutely. What I learned from the AAC certification, in studying the the agile extension to the BABOK, what I learned from there was very, very applicable to what it really helped me with the CPOA exam that I ended up taking and passed on my first try last fall. It's the skills that I learned by going through the agile extension to the BABOK and then knowing that, and I actually referenced several of the pages as I was preparing for my CPOA exam. That's a book I do have the PDF version of it, but I also have the physical version of it. I found myself referencing the agile extension to the BABOK quite a bit. What you'll find is that they're obviously, if you're really familiar with the BABOK, there are 50 techniques in the BABOK, but there are additional techniques, I think 25 or 30 in the agile extension of the BABOK, and there are even more techniques in the guide to product ownership analysis. And there's some overlap, but with those, and so definitely something I would refer to quite a bit. But as you've been working on different projects in the agile framework, working with product owners, this really helps to get you set up with those skills that help you really provide business value to your customers. And ultimately, that's what we are. You see that there's no business analysis role specifically in any of the agile frameworks I've run into, at least. But definitely, we are those folks with business analysis skills. We can apply those in a lot of different areas, and the CPOA study, the product ownership analysis, really helps you kind of build up those skills and learn a lot of great techniques. So I would say that, the AAC certification, or even just studying the agile extension to the BABOK, is really, really good place to start. But by no means do you have to have that certification to take the CPOA. It's not a requirement per se. But any questions about that from a general perspective? Oh, I see we had a lot of folks just join as well. I wanted to say also, is there a question?
Yeah, hi. This is Amber from Charlotte.
Hi.
Hi. So I held a role as an associate product owner for about 3 years, but I kind of wanted to, in some cases, I felt like the role was a little bit more senior to my skills. And that's just, me being honest and self-aware with where I was at. So I thought that business analyst, or being certified as a business analyst, would help me kind of fortify my skill set. What are your thoughts on kind of reverting back to kind of the foundational BA work in order to support product ownership or product owner roles in the future?
Yeah, think it's really important that business analysts have that core set of skills, I felt it's funny when I was doing business analysis work for a long time and didn't realize I was doing that. I've got a lot of varied experience in my career, and I didn't realize until there was a specific class that I was like, oh, this is really what I'm doing. I'm really a business analyst, and even though I had system analyst and sometimes networking, I wasn't a network engineer, but I did have a network engineer title way back in the day. They couldn't just put a specific title on me that fit. When I realized that I was really a business analyst, I think this is good. And so I really started to pursue studying those core business analysis skills, and really that's very well represented in the BABOK. So I think that's key to have those skills, and then building upon that, I think the agile extension to the BABOK, where you learn a little bit more about how your business analysis skills can be expanded and applied in more of an agile environment. That really helps. It just continues to help build on that base. So I definitely feel like as business analysts, we can really grow and be kind of molded into whatever need the business has, and we can help fulfill any of those gaps, where we can for example use our skills to bring light to what maybe a business problem. But let's say you're engaged on a project and nobody really understands how we're measuring the success of what we're doing. We have techniques that help us identify what the business value is, what the measurement criteria is, what the KPIs need to be. We can utilize those techniques and those skills to help bring light to what the business is trying to do, and that brings value to the team. So I think a lot of those base skills that we learn as business analysts can grow, and I think the CPOA, certification and the AAC certifications just help kind of fill that out even more than what we're doing. Additional skills, additional ways of thinking about things as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it does.
I will say too, I think it's great what the Bluegrass chapter is doing with this particular class, and I'm glad they're repeating it. With when I first saw that, I joined a chat just like this because primarily I wanted to learn more about it, but also was motivated by the discount I would get by participating in the chat. And when I started thinking about it, I was thinking, wow, this is 5 nights, 3 hours, and there are 3 solid hours. I think we maybe got a few minutes early the last night, but it's solid. It's like as they say, drinking from the fire hose. A lot of information and to cover, because if you look at the CPO, the guide to product ownership analysis, so I think it's over 200, maybe 300 pages PDF file, and there's a lot of great information in there. There's a lot to cover, but it's certainly worth it. I felt like that gave me really a very strong head start on studying for the CPOA exam. Going through the process. The Bluegrass team has a set of slides that are really well thought out, really well put together, that help to summarize the guide to product ownership analysis, and we can really focus on those slides as we're going through the class, and it really made it easy for me to study once I would completed the class. I think it was like 2 weeks later that I took the test, and because I felt, and it's never been like that. When I was initially studying for the CBAP exam, I took a prep class, but it was over a year later when I finally took the CBAP exam, because I felt like I had so much to prepare, and life kind of got in the way. And but I kept putting it off and putting it off, but finally, I got that. I felt very well prepared by the CPOA class that I took with the Bluegrass chapter. Those 5 nights, 3 hours each, to take my exam, and felt very confident to pass it. And it was and even the Bluegrass chapter had a sample on I think it was the last night we did a sample exam. I would have been looking out, for example, when I previously done my AAC certification and my CBAP certification, I had utilized. There are lots of different exam places out there, but I utilized Watermark Learning for those. And I asked them if they had one for CPOA, and they said no, we don't have one yet. So it was really great that. Thanks for confirming that, Aaron, about the exam. It was really great that there was a practice exam on the last night, and that really helped me prepare and made me think about some of those areas that I wasn't, quite on top of, and go back and study those. So I've really felt very empowered when I took the exam. I was still nervous to take the exam, but and one thing about the CPOA exam, it's online. You don't go to a testing center. I'm old school. I like to go to the testing center and actually take the test. But yeah, you take this one and also the AAC online only. And but it wasn't a terrible exam. I've had much worse, and it worked out really well. So I definitely felt like the practice test and all the studying we did with the Bluegrass team really helped me out. So I sound like I'm doing a commercial. I'm really not, but I'm here to answer to your questions.
So David, there is a question in the chat from Shelley asking about some high-level overview of some of the similarities between the CBAP and the AAC, and then anything strikingly different or something that you found uniquely interesting about the CPOA.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, definitely. I would, when thinking about the CBAP exam versus AAC, the CBAP exam definitely is more foundational. More absolutely rooted in the BABOK itself. The question, the question, the CBAP exam has a lot of case studies, as opposed to like the ECBA and the CCBA. So the case studies you get in the CBAP, you don't have those on the AAC or the CPOA. The AAC is more straightforward with the agile extension, but like I said, I would not take the AAC exam without having a good understanding of what's in the BABOK. You don't have to have the CBAP or anything like that, but having a good understanding of what those foundational business analysis techniques and skills as documented in the BABOK is a good basis for what you have in the AAC exams certification. But definitely the AAC focuses on the agile extension to the BABOK, which, when you think about it, the agile extension is based on the BABOK as well, but there's newer techniques and newer approach, and understanding that whole approach for the AAC is really important. And then, the biggest difference, I think, between the AAC and the CPOA was just the fact that, well, for me, that I didn't have that online prep as much as I did with the AAC and the CBAP. But the materials that that I received for the work that we did with the Bluegrass chapter, with the materials for that class, one of the great things about the materials for the Bluegrass chapter, and I believe this is the way it's going to be, every week there was homework to do, and it was not difficult homework, but there was a worksheet that you filled out to prepare for class, It was real simple. It didn't take a great deal of time to go through it, but I found I utilized those Word documents. Some of them were as simple as word search. Some of them were fill in the blanks, and these weekly homework assignments for the session. Like I said, not a lot of trouble to do those, but I found that those materials were very important, very helpful for me as I prepared for the CPOA exam. So I kept those um, and put them in I utilized a PDF file, so I could look at it on my phone and my iPad to go back and flip through. It made it really easy for me to prepare. And when they were on my phone, for example, if I was on a boring conference call and half paying attention, I could flip through my PDF as I was preparing to study, as I was studying for my CPOA. So that was nice to have those materials from the Bluegrass, class that I had. Yeah.
So feel free to drop a question in the chat, raise your hand, or just come off mute and ask away.
One of the things that I want to say about oh yeah, go ahead. Hi.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just quickly speak instead. But I'm wondering if, if you said that there's a lot of transferable skills for business analysts possibly to get into product ownership, from someone that doesn't actually have a dedicated title for product owner, and more coming from more the project world, like service delivery, or I don't know if such thing exists as service owner. Um, but how would you maybe almost position yourself? Do you see some similarities, or does it have to be actually physical, like a physical product or software that you need to have experience in? Um, and how would you pivot into that type of role?
Oh yeah. That is a great question. What we're talking about really, and if you look at the guide to product ownership analysis, it the product could be a physical product. There's a lot of examples of we're bringing a physical product to market. Let's say we've come up with a new type of soap, for example, and we want to market it. We're going to own this product. We're going to figure out what our customers' needs are, who are our customers, bringing that to market a physical product. But a lot of times for us in IT, and I've been in IT for my entire career, it's typically a software project, whether it's a product we're buying and we're going to roll out, or it's a product internally that maybe software that we've developed in-house and that we're supporting, or it's managing the product of a service that we're providing to our internal or external customers. I think it all, the approach, some of them specifically, for example, you may not, if you've got an internal service that you're supporting, for example, you may not want to have to do like do a persona to better understand your customers per se, and you may not send them surveys and really understand. You may have a better understanding of all their needs. You won't utilize all the techniques, but I think the core skills are applicable no matter what the title and no matter what the product is. I think you can be flexible enough with that, and the skills you learn here can be applicable in a number of roles, no matter what the title. Just they're great skills to have, and techniques to know how to utilize. So I don't think that I don't think it pigeonholes you in a specific role. And like I said before, I've done product ownership and I've been a proxy product owner. My role now, right now, I'm primarily doing like Scrum Master work as well as business analysis. Um, yeah, I think the skills and techniques you learn are applicable no matter what. I think they're very flexible skills. Does that help answer the question, Shelley?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's really,
Okay.
really good because yeah, mostly supporting service delivery.
Mhm.
So if that's kind of just the same type of thing that the product ownership role does, that sounds like it's somewhat in line.
Sure. Okay, great, great. I see a question about the BA role, establishing the need for product ownership skills. Um, yeah, what about the BA role establishes the need for product ownership skills? I think one of the things I would say is that I've heard of some companies saying, "Hey, we don't need business analysts anymore. We're doing agile products, so we need scrum masters and we need developers and we need product owners." I've actually heard people say that. Luckily, I don't think that impacts us, but I've had people say, "Well, what role is a business analyst in an agile project?" I think as much as we can have those skills and show that we can provide value, no matter what our title is or what our role is, I think that's the critical piece. And as we're in the year, a lot of people have career goals that they're setting, personal goals. You know, keeping our skills up to date is something we should continue to do over and over again. And um, I feel like those product ownership roles, frequently we're called upon to act on behalf of a product owner, or help a product owner. A lot of times the product owners come from the business and may not you know have an idea. They know what they want. They don't know how to express it, how we can leverage our skills as business analysts to help them with user stories and backlog management, determining what's doable and what's not doable, determining where there's business value and where there's not, helping them determine what some of the measurement criteria, why we're doing this, what the business value is. So I think those skills are all transferable, and that makes you um, more valuable to the organization when you can demonstrate how you're bringing even more value than just doing analysis. You're helping, the business understand what is most valuable to them and helping them to focus on the things that bring customer value, and impact the bottom line as much as possible. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? We are rounding out the halfway mark here, and we'd like to be respectful of everybody's time. However, if there are any questions, we're happy to stick around for a few minutes and answer those. Feel free again to either drop it in the chat, raise your hand, or simply come off of mute.
Yeah, I will say, the Bluegrass format for this class is really, really well thought of. It's broken down. Like I said, they're 3 hours with breaks, of course. It works really well. I found myself, on those Thursday nights when I had this class, it was really easy to schedule and make sure that I could focus on it. But yeah, I'm referring to the starting Thursday, January 25th. That's the other question there. Yes, Conrad. Um, yep. When it started, 3 hours the first night, with a little bit of homework for, the second week, and just preparing for it, really worked well into my schedule. It sounds like a lot. And they are intense study sessions, but, you know, um, Aaron primarily did the leading of the session that I was on. He's great to work with. He's very knowledgeable. He has a lot of great experience, and it was just all really really well thought out. I think there were over 200 slides that we went through, but it really took the content of the guide to product ownership and really helped it helped us to understand it a lot better because where it summarized and where it had specific things. And now Aaron was able to say, hey, this will most likely be on the test, make sure. So I was going through and marking those things to make sure that I focused on those. Yeah. And so the format of the study sessions was really helpful to me. It's not like one of those boot camps where you're focusing, 8 hours a day for 4 days or something. That's a little too intense, but this chunking it up into 3-hour sessions worked out really well. I see another question. Compared to other certifications exams, would you say the CPO is a tough one? Yeah. So it was not an easy one. I was nervous about it. To be honest, when I was taking the test, I believe there were 50 questions, 50 or 60 questions, and I was taking it. It's kind of like when you hit they're done, in the exam, it, it's like, well, I'm done. I can't do anymore. I wasn't 100% sure I passed. So that's always a great feeling. Oh, yes, I did it. At the end of it, but it wasn't really a tough exam. It was because I prepared for it. I was well prepared from the study sessions that we had done, and I think it was probably 2 weeks worth of prep. Not solid 2 weeks, but yeah, I would. I was getting to work at 7 a.m. I typically start at 8, so I was getting to work at 7 a.m. and spending an hour every morning that last week focusing on studying for it. And I took it on a Saturday morning early, and an online exam. And yeah, I just doing some after the sessions with Bluegrass ended. It was just a couple of weeks later, but that last week before, I was spending probably, I'd say, an hour to an hour and a half a day. And then, like I was saying before, I had a PDF file where I would review that, on my iPad or iPhone, just when I had some downtime. So that worked out really well for me. So I wouldn't compare it anywhere near the ECBA or CCBA or CBAP preparation, but it is something that you want to spend a little time working on. And yeah, I see your follow-up question. My years of experience as a BA helped make the exam a little bit easier. I would say that, yeah, my experience as a BA, but my experience working on agile projects, your agile mindset. If you've read through the agile extension to the BABOK, it talks a lot about the BA mindset and how you approach things. And it was, it's funny when you're not sure about some questions, you go with your gut instinct. And I found out that my gut instinct was learned based on my experience working on projects and my understanding of the agile extension to BABOK and my understanding of the BABOK. So that was a big help for me. That made some of those questions second nature to me. I think made it real easy for me to me, what seemed like the logical choice, someone who maybe didn't prepare and didn't have the experience might have to think about it a little more and struggle with maybe those questions. But for me, on some of those, not all of them, but it was just like, yeah, I knew right away that was the right answer. So that was certainly helpful.
Good questions. It looks like there is one more question in the chat about if there's any recommendation as to the preference or the recommendation on which bundle or group of study materials to purchase.
Oh, help me understand, Sean. Are those from the Bluegrass? Are those offered from the Bluegrass chapter?
No, I took it straight from the IIBA website. I'll give you
Okay.
where I see this. So there's two
Oh.
pack. They have like an LMS system, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I probably can't speak to that because I looked at that when I was thinking about doing the CPOA. I looked at that, and about that time, I got an email from the Bluegrass chapter about their upcoming CPOA. So it's like, well, I'm going to do this instead. So I can't really make a recommendation on that per se. I wasn't entirely sure of what their what that included, that bundle included.
Yeah, I
You
actually did
might
it.
look into it, but
I
yeah.
did actually do it. The reason I'm here is because I failed to write the exam,
Okay.
which may indicate the quality. But yeah, so it was just LMS system is what it was. It was just for self
Okay.
learning is really what it was. So I think I
Yeah.
have the answer because it's
I would say you get, I don't do well with the self-directed stuff.
yeah,
I always seek out in-person classes, whether they're virtual or in person, which, we don't really get anymore nowadays
yeah,
after 2020. But I like that. And I like the fact that, for example, I could ask Aaron questions, like, hey, I don't quite understand what is in that interaction and that discussion. And in fact, Aaron had a lot of really great examples, real world examples to help us understand. I found that very helpful. So if it's between that or like a self-directed online learning LMS system, I would definitely pick the one that where people are interacting, and
yes, yeah. Do you have to
that'd be
purchase?
my recommendation.
I do see one thing on that page is that you have to purchase the guide, the guide, like
Um,
the PDF guidebook. It's
yeah, you don't have to.
oh, okay.
If you if you have, you can buy the physical copy, and there was one on, you can buy it on Amazon, for example, and you can buy it through IIBA, of course, but if you're an IIBA member, you should be able to get the PDF version of that. So that's one of the benefits of IIBA membership. So um, I tell people that all the time. If you're thinking of taking an exam, they give you a discount, especially if you're taking the big three, the ECBA, CCBA, and the CBAP. If you're thinking of taking any of those exams, it's worth it to be an IIBA member because of the discount you get on the exam prices. But the materials and the knowledge center and everything that's available to you, and it makes it even more worthwhile. So it's and even yearly basis when you're like, I have to pay this again, there's so much, there's gold there, it's worth it. It's value for you to pay that. But yeah, you should be able to download that. That they have, yeah, I'm looking at the link you sent, Sean. Yeah, that certification um, handbook is not the guide. I thought that I was like, well, this is simple. I could do this, and I realized, oh no. The guide is ginormous compared to the guide they had. I think the guide was like 12 pages or something, and I was like, oh. But yeah, definitely you should be able to download that PDF with your IIBA membership.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. And Aaron, you made a good point about the discount on the study groups. Yeah, with that, my IIBA membership, and the fact that I attended the chat previously gave me a nice discount for the Bluegrass prep class. So yeah, that was a very good benefit.
Another thing too, be sure and check with your organizations. I just found out that my company reimburses for professional organization dues, 100% if you hold a leadership role and 50% if your role is within the capacity. So it's worth checking that out too. It's a great value in any case, but that's something to consider if the cost is somewhat of a concern.
Excellent point. Yeah, my company wouldn't pay for my class itself, but they did pay for my exam fee. So that I was glad to get that. And it helps me professionally and helps me, within the organization as well. So that made it worthwhile.
Yep. I am going to go ahead and put all of the information in the chat one more time. And again, everyone, thank you for participating in today's certification. As we did mention earlier, everyone will receive an email tomorrow with a link to the recording. So, if there's something you want to go back and just review again, you're, welcome to do that. Let's see, that's our YouTube registration for the session. And finally, the discount code. All right, so if there are no further questions, David, thank you again for your time today. We really appreciate members like you volunteering your time and knowledge and experience to have these certification chats. Thanks to all of you who joined. This is what makes these sessions so enjoyable and worth doing. So have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe and be well.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Great weekend, everyone.